level pro boxing media, the Fighters Channel, the Trainers Channel, the People's Channel. We got the one and only, the best cut man in the game. Stitch, how you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Answering a lot of questions from last night's fight, bro. That's for sure. And even the night before when Sinesa fought Valle, people are questioning the work of cutmen. So I think that's why you got me on the air.
Absolutely, and I actually tried to get you on before as well, but definitely more excited to speak to you now because it is a hot topic for this week's boxing. Very bloody, very messy, but we want to get a professional opinion. So thank you once again. I also have the phone lines open as well for the people. My first question to you is, if you was in the position last night on that main event, do you continue the fight or do you stop the fight with that type of cut?
I was in that position before. I've been there plenty of times, right? When I worked with Vladimir Klitschko the first time when he had lost his world title fight, he fought Deverell Williamson here in Las Vegas at Caesar's Palace Outdoors, and he got that cut right there. Well, the first 3 rounds he's winning the fight, right? The fourth round he gets a unintentional headbutt, right? And so he gets dropped. I'd say he gets dropped in the fourth round, but he's still winning 3 rounds to 2 as I look at the scorecards. When the fifth round, he gets that unintentional headbutt. So that big vein we have coming down when you get excited, it pops. When you pop that vein, you're not going to stop it, right? So I've been through that before with the UFC and other fighters. And at that point, I whispered to Vladimir and Vitaly, I said, look, and this is my first fight with them, right? I said, look, man, you got a back cut. You're winning on the scorecards. I'm going to have the doctor stop the fight. So when the doctor came, she says, and she's worked with me before. She goes, what do you think? I kind of opened it up. I said, yeah, it's pretty bad. And stopped the fight, went to the scorecards. He won and became world champion for 8 years. But, the day after, Dr. Goodman called me and she says, it's a good thing you stopped the fight when you did because it was close to an optical nerve and it would have created double vision. So going into Constantzu's fight, that vein that pops here actually starts up here. So, I saw the replay and it basically he kind of hit the corner of his elbow. It was kind of like a Muay Thai move. So it wasn't that Fundora did this. It's just that he just, he went right into it, and that's like hitting the edge of a door or something like that, and it opened up. But yeah, they should have stopped it, no doubt about it. And that's the important thing. And I'm glad you asked that question because it's important to know the game and to understand the rules and regulations. And I would have stopped it, at the end of the fourth round, and it would have been a no contest, and rightly so. And then it would have been a lot easier to get a rematch. Same thing with Badu Jack, right? He blew it because the corner didn't really know what was going on, and they let the fight continue. And I felt so sorry for him because he's shaking blood off his head. But they would have stopped it because this was for the number one contender, all right, to fight for a world title after that. But they blew it because if they would have stopped it like they should have done with Zoo, then it would have gone as a no contest, and you could have demanded a rematch this quick. So yeah, that's a shame of having guys that everybody wants to be a cut man, but it takes a little bit more than just putting a towel on your shoulder and you know working. Same thing with the fight the night before with this poor girl Vaya from Costa Rica, right? She and it's ironic. Let me kind of put it on record. So a lot of people don't know, but my first name is Jacob, right? And the cut man from this girl in Costa Rica, his name was Jacob. Well, I don't know two Jacobs that are cut men, right? So I guess when they give,
Panda?
huh?
Panda, Coach Panda? His name is
Uh,
Jacob? That's the one that was dealing with the cuts with Villa.
yeah, yes, I don't even know his name was, but his name was Jacob, right?
Yeah.
So I guess they assumed that when they saw the name Jacob, they put Jacob Stitch Duran as a house cut as their cut man. So I asked the girl when I first met her. She goes, "Oh, vamos a trabajar juntos. We're gonna work together." She looked at me like, "Huh?" But the guy Jacob, anyway, she got cut early in the first round, and the guy didn't know what to do. And I'm looking at the screen up on the big monitors, and it has the coach, the assistant, and the cut man, Jacob Stitch Duran. And I said, "No, no, no, I got to fix that, man." So I told Mark Krieger, "This is what happened. They put my name by mistake, but it's this guy that's working the cuts." And same thing, it's a shame that you're in such a high level position like that, and you have disadvantages. And could Kazuzu or Tim
Tim.
Tszyu won the fight if he wasn't cut? Uh, Probably, but would it have been a chance for a rematch? 100%.
Now going into the Friday cut with Villa, obviously Panda was touching up on that. The type of work, I mean, is that the way to go about it? Stop the bleeding, add Vaseline. Like, can you explain
No,
to us? Is that the way?
no, no. When you get to a cut like this right there, as you see, the first thing I do is pinch it, right? And what happens with the medication that we use on the swab, that's adrenaline chloride 1,000. That's a vessel constrictor. So when you put it on the cut, it closes up the vessel. So when I squeeze first, I take all the remaining little blood that's around the edges of the little veins. Then I'll put the swab there and it absorbs into the veins and it closes them up. Uh, yeah, techniques were all wrong. So I felt bad.
In both fights, in both fights.
Yes, yes. Unfortunately, the second. It's funny you bring this up because I did a GQ video. They have videos now, right? So they asked me to do a video with them on the things that went wrong in Hollywood movies. And like Southpaw, Forrest Whitaker's working as a cut man, and the guy has a cut here, but he's putting the swab up there, right? Those are all, and guys are. In fact, this guy here from the zoo camp, he has his bottle of adrenaline, and he's getting the mixture in there. That should have been done way before that. You lose seconds, right?
Right.
And uh, there was one instance, and then he's putting that bloody towel on top of the swab. And I'm sitting in the dressing room watching the fights with this other cut man. And I said, look, the reason you don't put a towel on that is because the adrenaline that you have in the mixture here is going to be absorbed into the towel and you lose your potency. Very common sense. That's what he did. But then I guess he ran out of swabs, and whenever we make the swabs, they come the ones you use for testing for COVID and all that, just a little bit of cotton. Well, he used 3 of those on a cut, on that big old cut, and that's like putting a finger, So everything was wrong, bro. I felt sorry for him, and I mean his whole face was about as red as your outfit, and it just wasn't fair. Even Fandora, he was bleeding a lot to the point where it was dropping, and I think it's probably a cut in the lip, So there was bloody just for the economic, just so they wouldn't make boxing look bad. It was horrible.
Wow, and that's your belief that they just so boxing doesn't look bad.
Yeah, it looked horrible. There was no need for that, and that's why it's so important to have a good corner. That's why it's important to have the good corner, and they all both of those systems. But I've seen it before where they don't make the right decisions, and it's not fair to the fighters, bro. And I always emphasize that in our sport, combat sports, all combat sports, none of us have to be certified to be called trainers or cutmen. You just pick up a towel and you go out and do that. And my mission is to at least try to educate to some degree. When I was learning to be a cut man in the Bay Area, I remember I went to a fight in Richmond, California, and I had to school kickboxing at that time. So I was making the transition of from being a trainer to learn to be a cut man. And this guy did a good job. And I went up to him and I said, "Hey man, I'm trying to learn to be a cut man. Can you tell me what you did?" He said, "Fuck you. I'm taking this to my grave and you gotta learn like me." And he walked away. I said, "Man, I'm never gonna be like this piece of shit." So my job is to teach. It's not fair to the fighters, man. It's not fair to the fighters. It's not fair to the fans, and just it needs to be improved.
So a big question here. I just had Coach Breadman. He salutes you. He believes you're one of the best in the game. You helped Caleb Plant. Um, how do you go about? Is there another way of going about it? Hiring a guy like you. Now I hear that you're pricey, and I'm not saying that you don't deserve it because you definitely do. But in the same token, it's like, do you go off of the 2% off of the purse? Obviously, if it's a huge purse, obviously, do you cut it to a certain flat rate? Also, we see you there with Rolly. What were the opportunities of somebody? Hey, you're already here. Can we use you right now? Like, what are those opportunities for guys like the pro boxers and coaches when they see
You
a
know,
top man?
I'm highly priced. I like I mentioned, bro, I'm an insurance policy. If you're driving a Ferrari, you got to get insurance for a Ferrari.
Get
You
paid
know,
regardless.
Yeah, and but like Brian Mendoza, I worked with him last night, right? And Brian's a friend, and I was doing a show in England last week with Chon Cepeda, and Brian asked if I'd work the corner. And normally in world title fights, there's a base that I work on. The 2% is that's old school. That's when fighters, weren't making that much money, so 2% was fair. But now I negotiate regarding on price, how much you're making.
Because
You know,
you're constantly doing title fights and there's
yeah,
huge
yeah,
purse.
yeah, of course, but like Brian Mendoza, there's a base price, a minimum base price that I charge. But I told Brian, look, man, I'm gonna give you, I'm only gonna charge you this, and if we continue, then we'll go back to the regular price. But that is a friendship, two 4 rounders, 6 rounders, 8 rounders, bro. I don't even charge them, because it's not fair to them because they don't make that much money. But it's important. I tell them it's important for you to understand how important the corner is, and like Nate Diaz is fighting Jorge Masvidal. Yeah, of course my price goes up because his price goes up, and so yeah, there's economics to go, but it's my decisions have never been based on economics. You know, uh, I think I've worked to a point where I deserve to get fairly compensated, but I make a difference. I've made a lot of money for a lot of guys, bro. Just the confidence level. So yeah, good question.
Thank you, man.